Right now at 6, a weather impact alert as the extreme heat settles in.
This is the first one for us this year, and we want to take it really, really serious for folks.
Plus, local workers on their way to pick blueberries arrested by ICE.
All they were trying to do was get to work.
And later, the broken glass and graffiti-covered eyesore.
It's like gold on the inside.
With, turns out, some good bones, heads back to the auction block. Well, good evening, everyone. David Molko with you on this Monday, where we're under an extreme heat warning and a weather impact alert. Right now, you're looking at the upper 90s in the Rose City on day 2 of what's feeling like a pretty brutal stretch. Let's get right to live team coverage with Celine Stevens checking in on local cooling centers and Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino tracking when we might see some relief. Matt, here's to hoping it's soon.
Yeah, David, we got to wait about 24 hours. So it's going to be another hot day and another hot night tonight. Today, we topped out at 98 so far. That might be updated to 99 later. Hood River, though, hit 100. 99 in Aurora, 102 in Salem, 102 in Corvallis, 105 in Roseburg, and Medford hit 106. So again, these are not the numbers that make people feel very good about summer, right? We've got one more hot day on the way. Keep in mind, this is our longest heat wave or hot spell of the entire summer. We haven't had 3 days in a row in the 90s yet. Today was day 2, but tomorrow will certainly be day 3. So the weather impact alert for withering weather continues through tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Another very warm night, too. This might be the warmest night of the year, not only so far, but for the entire year, as low temperatures will only drop into the upper 60s. So plan your access to cooling. Go easy from now until it cools off later on this evening, and just try to, go easy on yourself. Give yourself a break and make sure you check on your pets and your plants and everybody around you, because even the dog's water dish will evaporate super quickly with this hot air. So the only cooling that we get tonight is into the upper 60s. Hotter in the city, of course, cooler when you get away from the urban areas. Upper 90s, though, again tomorrow across western Oregon, except for the coast. But much cooler weather comes in on Wednesday. In fact, our overnight low tonight may be about as high as we get on Friday with rain in the forecast. David?
Oh, withering weather, a good way to put it. Thank you, Matt. Let's get right to Celine Stevens live outside a cooling center in Northeast Portland. Celine, it is definitely a scorcher.
David, definitely. And so this church is one of the 3 cooling centers that Multnomah County has opened due to the heat for the first time this summer. The county dealing with a state of emergency due to these dangerous heat. Now, we're not the only ones. Other counties are also doing their part to try and keep everybody safe in these high temperatures.
And hanging out here every time the cooling center opens.
With temperatures rising well into the 90s, some like Ashley Hasty and her child are in need of relief.
And last night I picked her up really late and it was really hot, so we just came up to the cooling center for a couple hours last night. So having that resource really helps.
She's taking advantage of the Father's Heart in Oregon City, which is typically a day center that has become a cooling site and overnight shelter to escape the heat through early Tuesday morning.
Anybody who is experiencing the heat in whatever way is uncomfortable for them, they are welcome to come in and just hang out for a while, get something to eat, get some water. It's just a safe space to be to cool off.
Clackamas County also working with other places like libraries to serve as daytime cooling centers for those in need. Meanwhile, Multnomah County opening 3 cooling centers in addition to the over 70 cooling spaces, which include places like malls, government buildings, and libraries.
Every event is a little bit different. Last year we probably had 1 or 2 events that maybe had a little bit more risk associated with them, but this is the first one for us this year, and we want to take it really, really serious for folks.
Sunday, the health department reported 6 emergency department visits for heat-related illness and 11 ambulance calls for both housed and unhoused people. Although an overnight shelter is currently not likely, the decision to open cooling centers Monday arrived due to multiple factors.
Probably the tipping point for us this morning, where there were a few factors we were really concerned with. Most notably, there's a little bit of humidity with this one, so you're seeing sort of this higher dew point. And so it's not just that when we see the temperature start to dip below this 100 degrees, it will still feel like it's 100 degrees for a few more hours after that.
Now, officials ask people to check on their neighbors, stay hydrated and out of the sun, call 911 if they detect heat stroke, and know what resources are available.
We do recommend that residents sign up for local alerts and safety tips at oralert.gov, and they can also reach out to 211info.org or call 211 for information on cooling shelters and community resources.
Now, these cooling centers in Multnomah County will be open until 9 p.m. And for those using TriMet, remember they will be waiving the fare for people going to and from cooling shelters through 10 tonight. David?
Appreciate you and your crew being out there for us. Thanks, Celine. By the way, if you text the word heat to the number on your screen, it's 503-226-5088. We will text you back with a link to info on cooling centers, splash pads, and other local resources to help escape the heat. One more way to go. Developing this evening, a Gresham police officer accused of dozens of sex crimes with a minor returned to court today where prosecutors fought to keep him in jail. Devin Haskins has the update.
Prosecutors argued that Hector Carranza was a flight risk, but also a threat to the public, saying that he would prey on minors again. His defense attorney said that is not the case, citing that he has never had any crimes against him since this alleged relationship began over a year ago, nor has he talked to any minors since then. Today's hearing, part of a preventative detention hearing, which would determine if Hector Carranza would remain in jail or be given bail. Carranza is a Gresham police officer who's currently on leave and under investigation while he's being charged with 56 sex crimes against a single minor. During court today, prosecutors say the relationship started back in 2014 when the victim was 14 years old, after Carranza answered a social media request from someone claiming to be 18 asking for alcohol, and the relationship progressed from there. The DA's office said it continued even after he learned she was a minor. Investigators say they found over 11,000 messages on social media between the two, some where Carranza repeatedly asked for sexual photos of the victim and her friends.
And he fears the risk that he knows he is undertaking in engaging in this illegal relationship. And yet it continues. He knows it's wrong, but he is unconstrained. He puts on a uniform to fulfill his oath to protect every day, but he is unconstrained. There simply are no limitations the court could impose that would constrain him.
His defense attorney argued against keeping him in jail.
For 7 years, after this relationship appears to have ended, there is zero evidence that my client made contact with or engaged in any kind of inappropriate relationship with any minor.
Detectives say an anonymous tip to the FBI led to the case, that tip not coming from the victim herself. The judge ultimately deciding against the prosecution's wish to keep him in jail, granting him $250,000 bail, but with very strict conditions. In downtown Portland, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
In your headlines this evening, the man now accused of murdering 4 Oregon women pleaded not guilty in court today to new charges. That's after a grand jury indicted Jesse Calhoun in connection with the death of 22-year-old Kristen Smith. Smith was reported missing in December 2022, and her remains were found in a field in southeast Portland in February of the following year. Calhoun now faces a total of 4 counts of second-degree murder and 4 counts of abuse of a corpse. His trial is now set for 2027. Law enforcement in Los Angeles have located the black BMW allegedly driven by the suspect in a double stabbing in Longview. Alexander Rogers is wanted in connection to the murder of Don Peters and attempted murder of Andrew Peters last Tuesday. Investigators say video evidence suggests Rogers is still in the LA area. Longview police plan to travel to California to process evidence and to help hopefully find the suspect. And the Washington County Sheriff's Office is investigating body parts that have turned up in the Tualatin River. Deputies responded to Rood Bridge Park in Hillsborough Friday afternoon, where they say a kayaker made the first discovery. Then on Saturday, searchers in the river say they found a second body part. Investigators aren't saying much more than that and say they have not yet been able to identify the victim.
We know that that causes a chilling effect. People are asking, should I be going to work?
Well, that is the question on a lot of farm workers' minds following a new round of immigration arrests and right at the peak of blueberry harvest season. Let's bring in Libby Dowsett in the newsroom. So, Libby, what are you learning?
Well, according to PCUN, which is the Oregon Farm Workers Union, David, the office is getting inundated with calls from workers asking if it's safe to go to work after ICE agents arrested 4 Guatemalan pickers headed from Woodburn to Canby on Thursday. The union says it's not just pickers, but community members calling their office in a panic, and members say the arrests are creating a chilling effect among workers worried about showing up for work. Union leaders say photos of broken windows from the van carrying the arrested workers in Woodburn have come to symbolize yet another round of arrests under the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigrants.
And really what we saw on Thursday was terrorizing farm workers in their own communities, in their own neighborhoods, who all they were trying to do was get to work.
And the Oregon Law Lab says 3 men and 1 woman were arrested and taken first to Portland's ICE detention facility. No names have been released. We've reached out to ICE for comment on those arrests. Farmers, meantime, say workers are still showing up for work at this point. They're even turning some workers away. David?
Yeah, Libby Dowsett continuing to look into ICE arrests and the fallout. Thanks, Libby. Appreciate it.